extremely unique in the sense we have both the king and the prince on the stage together today. It is in that sense of the matter, it's unique. I welcome the chief guest, the only Raja of the Madras High Court. I also welcome the special guest, the Prince of Arcot, the only prince recognized in the entire state of Tamil Nadu. We are happy to have both of them here. I welcome you all. We are proud to have the Prince of Arcot here because we respect him, as unlike the many, he does not say Allah is all law. He respects every human being, every religion and their tenets. It is in that sense also he is unique, and like Swami Vivekananda, he is promoting universal brotherhood everywhere. Keeping aside the religion in which he was born, he is Mr. World, if you use the expression. He goes beyond the religion, beyond the faith, beyond the principles. He is a human being. He promotes universal brotherhood. When I say he promotes universal brotherhood, I am reminded of a small story narrated by Mata Amardanandamayi a couple of years back in one of her lectures. Couple of years back, a story. The celebrated scientists of this country designed one of the best computers, and they claimed that computer was the supercomputer of the 21st century, and it can answer any question in any language within a maximum time of 15 seconds. And they arranged for a big show. They fitted this computer, the so-called supercomputer, into a robot and asked all the scientists to assemble and put questions. Any question can be asked. It can be on astrology, anthropology, anatomy, chemistry, physics, agriculture, constitution, any subject you can ask, and the computer will not take more than 15 seconds. However tricky question it be, however complicated question it be, it would only take 15 seconds. And the rider was, if you ask a question which compels or forces the machine to take more than 15 seconds, the persons who designed this computer would agree, human brain is far better than the so-called supercomputer, and if all questions are answered within 15 seconds, they would declare the human brain had surrendered before the supercomputer designed by them. This was the challenge. They arranged it. Big scientists, celebrated men, experts in many fields, probably in every field, assembled, went on asking questions. Every question was answered in 3 to 5 seconds. Even in the most complicated question, the computer fitted into a robot answered within 3 to 5 seconds. And they almost, they were exhausted. All questions and all subjects have been asked. It did not take any, to answer any question beyond 5 seconds. At that stage, when they are about to declare the human brain has failed before the supercomputer, a villager walked into the hall where this show was going on. One of the organizers, more out of his ego and wanted to have some fun, asked that villager to come, encouraged him to ask a question. He said, you can ask any question on any subject, it will immediately answer. That gentleman is a rustic villager like me. He is an expert on nothing. He knows no subject. He went near. Fellow could not even understand whether it's a robot or a human being. In his village, normally when people meet after some time or meet for the first time, they used to inquire about the health of each other. He went close by. Brother, how are you? That is all that fellow could ask. Believe me, the mission failed. Even after 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 3 minutes, the machine did not, the so-called supercomputer could not reply. Everybody was shaken. Ultimately, when they probed into the matter, they found out. If he had asked, Mr. How are you? It would have immediately replied, yes, I'm fine, I'm top of the world. Hi, how are you? It would have answered. The people who designed the computer never had arranged the software, and the poor machine had never been addressed as brother with the result. He did not receive that question. As he did not receive the question, he did not register the question. As he did not register the question, he did not reply the question. He thought, brother, how are you? He thought somebody was talking something else to someone else. He never thought it's a question put to this supercomputer. Ultimately, it is that universal brotherhood. It is the use of the word brother that saved the value of mankind. Ultimately, the organizers agreed. Undoubtedly, the human brain, the God-made brain, is far, far superior than the man-made computer. It is the universal brotherhood that stands, that unites every one of us. It is on that subject the Prince of ERCOT is going to give a lecture. Thank you. May I invite the Honorable Mr. Justice T. Raja to give his special address.
His Highness, Prince of ERCOT, Mr. N.G.R. Prasad, Mr. Veera Raghavan, former Additional Advocate General, my Lord Justice Akbar Ali, I am sorry, Mr. Trivengadam, Ravi, the President of the Madras Bar Association, Mr. K.R. Tamilmani, Secretary Mr. Kamalanathan, respected members of the Madras Bar Association, guest invitees, I deem it to be a great honor to be with you today to preside over this meeting that has been organized by our Madras Bar Association to throw more and clear light on the topic law and religious harmony. I take this opportunity to thank you, one and all, for having given me an opportunity. Law on religious harmony. Friends, if you look at the political world map, southern side of India we have Sri Lanka, a small island. We have been watching from 1970 due to ethnic problem. Although they have elected new president few days back, till now they are not able to see tranquility, peace. The reason is no harmony, no religious harmony. The reason is there is no law, effective law to bring religious harmony. If you go to north, behind Jammu and Kashmir, if you see our country's map, political map, just behind Kashmir, we have Pakistan that has been partition in 1947. We know they are not able to have a strong and stable political government, financially very weak. In fact, it was about 6 months ago when I was reading a newspaper, I came to know that a major grand road running, touching the Pakistan parliament could not be even repaired properly by that government. It shows the financial weakness of the country. Look at it. A road which is going in the heart of the capital could not be repaired properly. You can just imagine what would be the state of affairs in the interior village side. And then if you look at Afghanistan, a lady, a small girl, was voicing for women's freedom and she was shot. She was shot at. Fortunately, she was able to survive. And we are not able to make even a tourist visit to that place. Completely deprived of peace and tranquility. No multinational company or any company for that matter is able to go and set up any factory, any company or any IT company that we have been enjoying in Chennai and Bangalore and Hyderabad. Unless you have establishments, industrial establishment, institutional establishment, whatever may be your richness, you may not be able to give helping hand to the younger generation. When the educated youths are not able to get employment, they will completely go out of the mainstream of the life. The result is when the multinational company or any company from any country is not able to go and set up their business either in Pakistan or Afghanistan, even for that matter, Bangladesh. What would be the state of affairs of the future generation and the economic stability and the political stability of the country? If we still go further, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, everywhere you can see there is no peace, there is no religious harmony. Thank God. We do not face any such problem right from the day one. The reason is we maintain absolute religious harmony among ourselves. Either Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Parsi religion, a man belonging to Parsi religion, Sikh religion, Buddhism, or any religion for that matter, we know how to live amicably. Of course, the laws which we have enacted, our forefathers have enacted, are responsible for keeping the unity and integrity of the nation. I can tell you slightly later how far the laws which we have enacted, not now, even 150 years ago before the 1862, and your Madras Bar Association also came along with the High Court. Just 2 years before our High Court came into existence, Indian Penal Code came into existence in the year 1860. When the Indian Penal Code was adopted and bring it to force, if we see section 295, 298, 295A, 153A, 1 and 153, A1, 2. All these provisions, see, many people may have a different view. Only after we obtain independence, on 15th August 1947, we have become a secularistic nation. Therefore, we are able to survive far better than other countries. I have a different opinion on that. I have slight reservation on that. We ourselves adopted, enacted and gave the constitution to ourselves to secure to all the citizens justice, equality, fraternity, liberty and so on and so forth. On 26 November 1949. On 26 November 1949, when the Constitution came into existence, 19(1)A we all know, along with is guaranteeing all the basic fundamental rights. Along with 19(1)A to G, we have also, our forefathers have guaranteed many other rights, many other freedoms. Article 25 guarantees the right to freedom, right to profess, practice, propagate our own religion. Article 26 says a person belonging to minority community is also entitled as a matter of right to establish any education institutions. 29, 30, everything gives complete freedom to any minority institution, to open education institutions, religious institutions. That is only coming from 26th November 1949. Friends, if you see the preamble of the Constitution, the preamble that has been undergone only once a change, amendment on 17th December 1976 to bring in a new characters, namely the socialist secular character to the face of the country, has given us, of course, a new upliftment. After the 42nd Amendment, the India's character has completely changed as sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. Previously, at the time when the Constitution was enacted, we had Constitution only with the character, limited character of sovereign, democratic republic. But after the 42nd Amendment, we have made known to the rest of the world that the country is a secularistic country. Therefore, some of the people are of the view that only after the Constitution came into force, the country has become secular, and previously it was not. No. Even before the Constitution came into force, before the 42nd Amendment came into force, the country, the people were enjoying the secularistic characters. We are born with secular characters. Therefore, I said, when IPC was enacted in the year 1860, Section 295, 296 and 298, they say, whoever destroys or damages or defiles any place of worship or any object held sacred by any class of persons with the intention of thereby insulting the religion of any class of persons, or with the knowledge that any class of person is likely to consider such destruction, damage or defilement as an insult to their religion, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 2 years. 150 years back, ago, this Section 295 was enacted. And it was enacted saying that the offence under this section is cognizable, non-bailable, and also non-compoundable. And then if you see Section 296, it says, whoever voluntarily causes disturbance to any assembly lawfully engaged in the performance of religious worship or religious ceremonies shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. Again, the offence under this section is cognizable, but bailable and non-compoundable. Similarly, Section 298 says, whoever with deliberate intention of wounding the feelings of religious feeling of any person utters any word or makes any sound in the hearing of that person, or makes any gesture in the sight of that person, or places any object in the sight of that person, shall be punished. Look at the wording of the section. Whoever with the deliberate intention utters even a single word, a word, and makes any sound in the hearing of that person, he shall be punished with imprisonment of either description. Again, the classification offence says the offence is non-cognizable, bailable and compoundable. After the Act, the IPC came into force in the year 1860, in the year 1929, section 295 was inserted. It says, whoever with deliberate and malicious intention of outraging the religious feeling of any class of citizens of India insults or attempts to insult religion or religious belief of that class shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years. Look at it. 1929. It has been increased. We have been showing more concern, more effort, more serious thought, serious care to the religious harmony. Previously it was 1 year, but after 1927-29, by bringing in section 295A, if a person insults or attempts to insult the religious belief of any other sect belonging of any other persons, then he shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years or with fine or with both. And then, after the Constitution came into force, once again IPC underwent amendment. Section 153A was also brought in the year 1969. It says, again, whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by signs or by visible representation, promotes or attempts to promote on grounds of religion, race, place, or birth, residence, language, caste, or community, any disharmony or feeling of enmity, hatred, or ill will between different religion, the person concerned who is responsible for creating harmony, disharmony, feeling of enmity, shall be punished. The sentence is, the imprisonment would be 3 years. And then section 153A 1 subclass 2 says, whoever commits an offence specified in subsection 1 in any place of worship or in any assembly engaged in the performance of religious worship or religious ceremonies shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 5 years. So we have been taking more care every day, every year from 1860. That is the reason why the religious harmony is properly preserved and safeguarded. Result is, we are able to economically stand taller than other nations and other communities. Friends, we have secularism, but the same concept called secularism is also adopted in US and other countries. They call it is Western secularism. We call it is simply a secularism. There is a difference between Western secularism and the Indian secularism. In Western secularism in US, they do not encourage any religion by giving funds from the state exchequer or from the central exchequer. There is a very famous judgment given by the US Supreme Court in the case of Everson versus Board of Education of Ewing, reported in 1947, 330 US, that says the government has to maintain a wall between the religion and the government. The state has to maintain complete departmentalization. If any religious association is not able to come up, the government will not go forward to revive the religious institution. Whether it belongs to A, B, C or D, they are not bothered. Today our case is, in India the secularism says, if one religion who has set up a religious institution or religious education institution is unable to come up properly, for example, a minority religious community has set up education institution, and they appointed, after getting sanction for 5 teachers or 10 teachers, and the school is or the college is not able to run properly because of the mismanagement. The government has to meet the expenses of both the teaching and non-teaching staff. The owner the founder of the institution, education institutions belonging to minority community or minority religion, is entitled to collect fees from the student, either donation, whatever. They will be keeping safely in their chest, in their pocket, and they will not spend even 1 rupee towards the teaching and non-teaching staff. But they are entitled legally to get the monthly salary for the teachers and the non-teaching staff. This has been called the grants in aid. If for any reason the state government is unable to pay the grants in aid to the teachers or the non-teaching staff, you can make up an application, 1-page application here, the court will immediately order, pay the salary to them. That is the distinction between the Western secularism and the Indian secularism. That is the reason why we are able to stand on par with other countries, US. Friends, although we have the secularistic characters, country and the government gives utmost importance. Wherever it is possible to bend towards the religious harmony, government and even to the greater extent, I must confess, that even judiciary also tends to support and help the religious harmony. I can cite only 2 examples, then I can rest my speech. There was a case where in Kerala, 3 students belonging to Jehovah community, Jehovah Witness sect, they refused to sing national anthem in the morning assembly conducted by the schools. When the school was open, they would go and sing the national anthem in the morning assembly. When all other students were singing, only 3 students belonging to Jehovah community, Christian community, they refused. But however, they stood up with all respect and gave salutation to the nation flag. But however, the management, after watching for a long time, they inquired with them and sent for the parents. Parents came and said, we can't sing national anthem because it is almost like doing a prayer. Participating in a prayer by our people, we give more importance and the first importance, primacy to our Jehovah, the creator of this earth. Therefore, we will not participate in the national anthem. Of course, we will be standing with all respect. The matter was reported to the director of school education. The school education, after finding that, passed an order to expel these 3 students from the school. On instruction from the director of school education, the school inspector, the headmistress of the school expelled all the three children. The parents came to the college with a representation saying that I am just waiting for an order from the government. Please, till then, you allow them to continue. The school refused. He filed a petition before the High Court. The single judge said, see, when the national anthem is sung, what is the difficulty for you to not at least sing the song? That does not mention about any particular religion. However, they say, no, we may not be in a position to participate in a prayer like this. If we participate, then we may have to, it may amount to insulting our own faith and belief. Leonard Single Judge dismissed the petition and they said and confirmed the order of expulsion. The matter was taken up to the division bench. Division bench also, after hearing that, they dismissed the appeal, confirming the order of expulsion. The matter was taken up to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, at the cost of the religious harmony, allow them to continue the school. Religious harmony is more important. Faith belonging to a particular religion is more important. Therefore, they said, they interpreted in such a way that there is no particular provision saying that it is disrespectful to the national anthem if a person is not singing or if a person is not joining the singing of national anthem. When he is able to stand up respectfully, that is good enough. Do not further compel a person. That will go against the right to conscience, right to practice, right to profess, right to propagate a particular religion. Therefore, I would like to say that even to the greater extent, the judiciary also goes leaning towards the religious harmony. That is more important. The one another judgment, I would like to just, it's a very famous judgment. The Sabanu case. A husband, after living with his wife for almost 33 years, drove her out. After 33 years, after begetting 5 children, Sabanu was driven out from the matrimonial house. Waiting for 3 years, finding no maintenance or a helping hand from the husband, she filed a petition under Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code. The petition was, she was asking a sum of rupees 500 per month to maintain herself. When she was asking 500 rupees, the learned magistrate has come forward to order only 25 rupees, saying that, all right, you are a person, you have been given up by your husband, however you are not married, therefore you are entitled to get at least some solace. 25 rupees you will get it from the month. She said, with this 25 rupees I may not be able to maintain anything. So she went in revision before the High Court. High Court, after seeing that the reasonableness, increased from 25 rupees to 129 rupees and 20 paise. That was challenged by her husband before the Supreme Court. The matter was referred before Constitution Bench. The Chandrachud who was leading the bench, given a judgment, said, see, if you look at the original Criminal Procedure Code of 1898, that is inbuilt in secularism, that is having the secular in character, that is under Section 488 of the original Criminal Procedure Code enacted in the year 1898. The same ditto provision is there. After the Criminal Procedure Code was enacted, amended in the year 1973, this has been just copied, that's all. Therefore, do not think that this is having any religious character. Therefore, Sabanu, you are entitled to get not only this 129 rupees, you are entitled to ask for more money by moving an application under Section 127C of the Criminal Procedure Code, gave liberty, confirmed the order. But look at the government. The government said there was a great chaos and controversy. The government stepped into the shoes, stepped into the scene and said, harmony is more important. Because when particular person is not willing to accept that, then the Women's Protection, the Muslim Women Protection Act 1986 came into rescue to restore the religious harmony. And this is how, and we have been able to survive. Friends, even this Muslim Women Protection Act 1986 says, if a wife is deserted by her husband, and the husband is, she need not make out an application, she is entitled to make an application before the magistrate, concerned magistrate, but the magistrate will not order against that husband, but the magistrate will be making an order against her relatives who will be inheriting her property on her death. If for any reason, if that person, that wife, the poor divorcee or the poor lady, even after divorce, is indigent person, then in which even the Waqf board, the state Waqf board will be in a position to make the compensation, make the maintenance now. Somehow, some route has been found out, at least to take care of the plight of the widow. Friends, I would like to tell you only one thing. The country has to have, at some point of time, the sense of tolerance. Otherwise, we may not be able to have the religious harmony. Therefore, the court, the government, the country are concerned with restoring and preserving the religious harmony. I do not want to take more time because you will be expecting more from erudite speaker, His Highness Prince Orkad. Thank you very much for the opportunity.